Hello, this is Rumor. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I would like to introduce you to my Lemurian family of crystals. Hands, you can see the little bitty babies down there too. Lemurian Quartz was a fast favorite of mine, I must say. I don't know what my particular affinity for it was from the get-go. Maybe it was the lore that is attached to it, which I will get into in a bit. Maybe it was the aesthetic, because they tend to have this beautiful, like, pinky color to them and just gorgeous clarity. Apologies in advance for the direct sunlight that's coming in through my window here, casting shadow, but very nice for the quartzes though. Allows them to get some sparkle in and some solar charging. Man, not that these babies need more power. They really pack a punch. And this one in my hand was the first one that I had ever acquired, actually. And this was a slow accumulation. I mean, this is years worth of crystal study and collection. And I definitely tread lightly with this crystal in particular, just because I was in awe of everything I'd read about them, the power and the knowledge that they may contain. And to the point where when I was purchasing this particular crystal, I placed the order and then I emailed the shop owner, which was a local shop here in the UK. But I emailed her asking if I could cancel the order because I felt I was so new to crystals. I would not have the expertise to properly work with this and optimize its potential. And not that I could hear laughter through her email in response, but I'm sure it was there. She was basically like, why don't you just let it arrive, see how you interact with it, and then if you don't want it, then yes, of course, you can send it back. It'd be no problem to be refunded. And so, yeah, she was probably just like, calm down. So I let the package arrive, and actually I had ordered another just like clear quartz with it, and I thought for sure that was the one that I was really going to love, and I was going to send this one back. I ended up sending the other one back because I loved this one so much. And just as soon as I held it, I just, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because Lemurian quartz, it is quartz, and so it has a high vibration, very much attuned to the crown chakra. Lemurian quartz is also associated with third eye and heart. There's a lot of heart energy in these as well. And part of it could be, I couldn't say for sure, but giving some of this hint of pink, kind of like a champagne-y color. Sometimes there's a little yellow or redness. That can be attributed to if there is another, like a metal present or another mineral. And so like there can be coatings of iron or hematite, for instance, or inclusions within the crystal that creates that cast. And so that can influence the chakras that it's associated with accordingly, but very much high vibing, very much feel it in the crown. But interestingly, when I held this one, I think maybe whatever is included in it, there's just like this swelling that I feel almost in my belly area, just like through my whole torso as well. Like it's just like such a fullness and almost like a full body fullness. And it's just like, it's such a lovely energy. It wasn't too heady for me, which what I was afraid of. But then that being said, anecdote, speaking of crown chakra, I was wanting to bond with it, and being new to crystals, I was reading about the different ways you could bond with your crystal. And one of them is, of course, to slip a crystal under your pillow. So I don't know if I had set this directly under my pillow or maybe just like beside it, but like rookie error, man, to do that with a big quartz point like this, especially a Lemurian quartz. I woke up in the middle of the night feeling like my head was going to explode. Like I honestly felt like the crown of my head, like my skull was just expanding almost to bursting point. And like at the same time I'm feeling this, my husband wakes up and without a word, he sits up, pivots over to the side to put his feet down on the floor, and he like bends over and like rakes his fingers through his hair, like rubbing his head really like fervently for a little bit, and then just like turned around and laid back in bed and went back to sleep. And again, without a word. So he gets up and just like scrubs his head like that while mine is feeling like it's exploding. And so then I was like, I think I need to take this out of our bed. And so when I touched it, I mean, it could have been like a little battery pack. I swear I felt it vibrating. It was just such a little power pack. It was just tremendous. A really, really phenomenal experience with a new crystal. I can't say I've had one quite that powerful since then, including with this crystal. Now I can hang out with this crystal. I nap with it all the time. So like, I think that maybe our vibrations got in tune with each other the more that we hung out. And so now I can handle it, but I definitely had to get it out of bed that night. And I mean, I got it out of the room. I took it far away and then apologized to my husband in the morning for interrupting his sleep. And I explained what it was. And he's so nice to, believe me, or at least tolerantly, nod his head as if he believes that that's what the reason was. But anyway, so this one is just so, so, so special to me as my first Lemurian quartz point. And maybe before I introduce the others, I should finally get around to what makes them Lemurian. Okay, so Lemuria, and to demonstrate this as a place, not just a thing, not just a type of quartz, but it originates in a place called Lemuria. Whether you believe this was a real place or not is entirely up to you. Me? I don't know. I started watching Ancient Apocalypse recently that is kind of educating me on certain societies around the world that could have existed and were lost to great floods, as Lemuria evidently was. And I don't know, some of the findings are kind of compelling. So I'm open-minded to it. I'm open to it. But I can't say that when I was first reading about this, I totally bought into it. I mean, I don't know. It's a similar thing to Atlantis. And I think that maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that Lemuria predates Atlantis, at least as far as what's believed when these societies existed. But this card that I'm holding in my hand, just FYI, is from Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle, artwork by Danielle Noel, who also did the art and wrote the guidebook for this Ocean Dreams Oracle, which I'm going to incorporate today as well. But I think that Lemuria, something like 14,000 years ago, it was believed to exist, and it was an advanced civilization that predicted a great flood. So in preparation for that, the legend is that the people programmed these crystals with all of their knowledge, the wisdom that people on Earth would need in the generations to come. And so everything was encoded into these crystals, and they were then seeded into the earth for people to discover at a later time, I guess when the time is right. And so it seems like at the point of their discovery, which I think they were first found in Brazil, and now they're found in other places around the world that are considered to be sacred. So it's believed that they were like placed there with intention, and they're like meant to be found by us now in order to download this knowledge that was encoded into them. And one of the really interesting things I had read about them early on was about their ladder-like stripes. One isn't really defined. Some of these, especially these two, are like highly polished. So it didn't have super defined lines. Maybe I'll grab this one. So I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but there are these like striations that run across their sides, almost like a barcode. And that makes for a great metaphor for like downloading data. People believe that if you meditate and just run your hands along these barcodes, you're like scanning and downloading ancient knowledge into your mind. Interesting. I tend to believe that's just more to do with the nature of this crystal, this crystal's formation. I've seen other crystals, quartz crystals, that have the same striations that aren't considered to be Lemurian. I like the story of it though. Like, that's such a neat idea, because I do believe that crystals hold, at the very least, energy. And if they hold memory and wisdom, I mean, maybe it's just in the way their frequencies can align with ours. And if you're getting in a meditative state, that can help you unlock that greater, more cosmic wisdom, if you will. I don't know what it is, but I feel like crystals in general have that capability, especially these higher frequency ones like quartz. But what I think is so lovely as well is this association with the heart that Lemurian crystals have. And actually, speaking of Danielle Noel, here's another image of hers. Well, first of all, I never read this card. Says, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. So basically relating to that idea, just having the faith that we can make this world what we want it to be, and it can be the heaven that Lemuria was. So there's a card in the Ocean Dreams Oracle called Lemurian Waters. And for this, Danielle says, I am a conductor of many frequencies. I am reactivating new wisdom that quietly dwells within me. At a cellular level, the inner waters that flow deep within the chambers and veins of the earth are still encoded with the ancient language of Lemuria. Like crystals that contain the many whispers of time, some believe that our bodies also hold information in a similar way. As we each have the ability to transmit and absorb many frequencies, we are living conductors after all. If you feel a strong familiarity with the lands of Lemuria, there is a knowledge now rising to the surface that wants your attention. This is no mere coincidence. You are entering a fertile period of your life where immense activations are channeled through you. You are transmuting the lessons you have experienced into crystalline waters of truth as you walk the earth with a deep sense of knowing and trust. Everything unfolds to initiate you into a higher state of awakening, every thought, step, and movement. As you reconnect with the fragments of time that are mapped along your soul journey, you reactivate a remembrance that calls you home, here and now, forever and always. So there's the association there with Lemuria. Always connected with some sense of like great spiritual transformation. I shared a few of my crystal books with you in my last video, and I have just pulled this one, which had information on Lemurian Quartz, associating with spiritual awakening, intuition, ancient knowledge, and meditation. Gets into the lore of the Society of Lemuria, also speaking to the high frequency vibration. It supports accelerated personal development, expanding your consciousness to remind you of your interconnectedness. They're powerful and can be used as a gateway to connect with Lemurian wisdom, as well as spirit guides, celestial realms, and your highest self. Lemurian Quartz is definitely one to supercharge your meditations, as it will activate all of your chakras so that you're a clear channel for spiritual downloads in the form of inspiration, visions, messages, and insights. We see here where it's crown, third eye, and heart, although as said there, as is the case with quartz in general, that's known as really a master crystal. It could be used for all the chakras. And so I don't see why Lemurian would be any different. Again, unless there is some sort of coding or inclusion that brings in more of a grounded energy, but supports well-being and mental clarity. Radiation therapies and chemotherapy brings strength to the physical body. So that's if you're interested in the actual physical crystal healing. It's been suggested for that. Of course, never a substitute for actual medical treatment. It's just one of those things that can supplement. But anyways, let me get this down so we can see those little itty bitty babies again. So it's interesting, right? You know, aside from just being gorgeous, gorgeous specimens of quartz, you get this beautiful story associated with it, that they're encoded with the wisdom of an ancient civilization of Lemuria that was destroyed. And this was their gift to the future. Just reading those descriptions, I mean, wouldn't that tell you, first off, not one to sleep with under or anywhere near your pillow at night? But yeah, how brilliant was I? But I mean, I've got to say, like, I've tried to meditate with it and doing exactly that suggestion of like running fingers along the ridges of it. And I don't feel like there's any specific information I've downloaded from these crystals just yet. But that could just also be the fact that because I'm so intimidated by them, it took me a while to really work with them that way, to actually sit and meditate. I was almost afraid because I don't know. Again, I was like very new to crystals, and this just like came with so much to it and just felt like such an advanced thing that I wouldn't be prepared for. But I really think it's just, you know, as I've learned in the years, it's kind of similar to tarot. Reading the cards, like, yes, there is a knowledge to acquire. There's a level of expertise that certainly helps when you're reading the cards, but like you also just have to let go and let your intuition take over too. It shouldn't all just have to be about memorized meanings. And so the same thing with this, like not having the sense that there's such a gatekeeper with the cards, there's not with the crystals either. But I think there should be a respect and a reverence for them. You know, they should be treated well and cared for. And I think that there are certain crystals you just kind of tiptoe into a meditation with a little more lightly than others, and just being prepared for that, you know, making sure that you're grounded enough, protected enough perhaps, because these could be little, you know, channelers of other energies too, who knows. But I was looking at this one, thinking of meditations, because I can remember my very first meditation with it. And I had this clear image of a wolf. So ever since then, I've just like felt that that's a spirit that lives inside here for whatever reason. But okay, if this was my first one, I really don't remember the exact order I got them, so I'm not introducing them in order. All I remember is this was my first one and this was my last one. This one appeared in my last video where I had my smoky quartz family, because this is a very subtly smoky Lemurian quartz. But the rest are predominantly pink. This is one I need to work with more. Generally, there is a feminine energy that's associated with these quartz points, but I feel like this one, I don't know, I get something a little bit more masculine from it, and I don't know if it's because of it is more of like a wand-like shape, very like pointed, whereas this has like more rounded, softer edges and just has like a softer feeling to its energy, which is nonetheless a powerful energy, but there's something like sanded around the corners with it, if that makes any sense. Whereas this, I just get this like sharper feeling from. So I would like to still figure out how I'm going to work with it. And that's, as I mentioned last time, if you saw my earlier Crystal Convos video, that's the point of this exercise today. This is one way in which I get to know my crystals. The obvious way is like sitting with them, learning about them, meditating with them, and really getting a sense of their energy and how my energy melds with that. But another way of getting more into almost the personality of the crystal and the function that it can serve for me in my, you know, healing and growth, that's where the cards come in, and I do this reading, which I will do after my little introduction here. But so this little one then is a golden healer, because it's got a bit of a golden tint to it, again, from whatever would have kind of coated it, whatever would have come in contact with, some sort of mineral. And golden healers are, as the name implies, great for healing in general, physically and spiritually. Apparently good for distance healing, if that is something that you do. This one just makes me think of a little frog. I love this. And I feel like this is another one that has like a strong yet soft energy, if you can believe those two things can coexist. But they just really do with this one. It's quite a love. I get comfort from it. This one is an Celestial Lemurian Quartz. I can see some of those like signature ridges on it, but obviously this formation is so different from these long, lean points. Celestial quartz forms quite a bit differently, and it has to do with like fluctuations in mineral-rich fluid that kind of comes across the surface of it as it's forming. So Celestial quartz is characterized by terminations, which is the point of the crystal. You see smaller termination points forming on larger ones. And so it creates this like layered, clustered appearance. And this one is a self-healed Celestial, which basically means at some point where it was broken off from, whatever matrix it was growing on, it continued to grow and heal itself over. And so that makes this kind of quartz or crystal, if it's a self-healer, that makes it a good healing one as well. And while this is almost more grayish, maybe even purplish, I'm colorblind, so it's hard for me to see certain shades, but yeah, it's got, more of a gray to it than a red, but evidently this is hematite included in here. And this is a much more clouded crystal than a Lemurian quartz often is. I mean, you can just see like such sharp clarity in here. But anyway, the hematite offers a grounding, protective quality. So this is another one where I feel like it doesn't get too much in my head. I like to hold this one kind of connecting head and root chakra because it feels very grounding, but it also very much like stimulates the crown as well. And it's just, again, kind of nice, as I mentioned before, like if you're meditating with crystals like this, I feel like it is good to have some sort of grounding so you don't lift too high off the ground. This one, though, has much more of a reddish tint to it. This is a Scarlet Temple Lemurian. It has a coating of hematite that has given it its redness. And these are very strongly associated with the divine feminine. They're associated with the high priestesses of Lemuria. And I read somewhere that the red was in connection with the red cloaks that they would wear. I don't know. Other sources may say otherwise, and we obviously have no evidence of this. So, but someone somewhere said that. But anyway, again, all Lemurian quartz is supposed to have a feminine energy, but this even more strongly so connected to that divine feminine energy. And I think I got this when I had been reading a lot about Mary Magdalene, and just that association with red just made this feel so good. So this one sits at my altar space. This one is a Sunshine Aura Lemurian Quartz, which is a Lemurian point that has been bonded on its surface with gold and platinum to give it this color and rainbow sheen, as all aura quartz has. Aura quartz can be main color predominantly, but when you shine it, you tend to see other colors in there as well. And so this one has strong solar plexus energy. It is a very like lively, active crystal. It's supposed to be good for clearing out past traumas and just bringing in like the joy and the light. And this particular one is a dolphin formation where you see, if you can see, there's like this smaller crystal that's formed alongside this larger one. So it's almost like a mama with a baby. So accordingly, you can get like a maternal energy or just a generally loving parental energy, or a teacher energy. It can be good for inner child. This one lives with my Sacred Rebels Oracle deck. These down here, one of them I think I got separately, but there was a lot of 7 that I had gotten and I wanted for use in crystal gridding. So the smaller size of them is really helpful for that, to really like amp up a crystal grid. And I usually have them as like the outer ring of it to just really amp up whatever intention's going into there. And this particular one lives with my pouch pals that I had introduced in my Year of the Snake video. I showed a couple oracle decks and tarot deck bundle, little like deck family that I have. And there's something about that grouping of decks that just feels so like ancient and divine, feminine, and wise to me. And so I felt like a Lemurian Quartz was the perfect one to put in there. Small but mighty, packs a punch. This is actually a pendant that I got on Etsy a long time ago, but it has a little pink Lemurian as its point here. And then we've got some green tourmaline inset and then a Herkimer diamond at the top. And this is something I actually will use it. I have worn it before, but I will use it as a wand to activate crystal grids sometimes for something that's a bit more like spiritual. I go to this one. So that is my Lemurian collection. I've racked my brain and I genuinely do not think that there are any others hidden anywhere. So now you may be wondering which one I'm going to be interviewing with the tarot. And perhaps you have already picked one in your minds that you would like me to do. Hold that thought. Actually, let me know in the comments. I know which one I'm going to, that I want to meet and greet today. But if it's not the one that you're hoping that I will, if there's one that you wish I would, please let me know in the comments and I'll come back and I'll interview that one at another time. But today, because it holds that special place at my altar, I would like to meet and greet the Scarlet Temple Lemurian Quartz. Okay, so if you saw my last crystal conversation, you know the drill here. I've got the Crystal Skull Tarot by Jessie Driscoll, guidebook written by Rachel Pollack. And I thought, given the very watery nature of Lemuria, I would close the reading with a card from Danielle Noel's Ocean Dreams Oracle. So first, I'm just going to sit and meditate a bit with this little Scarlet Temple Lemurian. Just breathe. Ground, connect, and protect my way into this reading. So like last time, I have this deck separating out the court cards in answer to the question, the first question, who are you? Who is this crystal? What is its personality? What are its characteristics? And the remainder of the deck will be used to answer the question, how it can help me, and if it has advice for me in this moment, what sort of healing I might use it for at present. So that's the little introductory reading that I will do. This, of course, can be expanded on as necessary, but today I will just keep it to the basic 3 questions. Okay, so it's so interesting to me for the Scarlet Temple being associated with the heart and root chakra. We do have the heart here, right at the center, at the core of it, but then it's flanked by 2 cards of the mind, the swords. I must say, this is not what I was expecting for this crystal. I thought there would be something more masterly. I expected maybe cups or even wands, actually, because with this redness, even with that grounded heart center focus that it can have, I don't know. I just maybe expected something a little feisty with it too. But here, instead of the teacher, we actually see the student. So is this a guide, or is this a crystal that's kind of, sorry, the sun is shining right in the window and I don't have shades on this. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to tilt it more this way. Apologies. Okay, that's a little better. But I don't know. Maybe it's not the sage on the stage or even the guide on the side, but it's a learner with me, an ever curious crystal, not one to guide me through major meditative journeying, but maybe just something a bit quieter to sit with and reflect with and find clarity with. It's almost like this crystal is a young learner that may not yet know what it knows. And in that case, isn't that interesting? It almost makes me feel like we could have a real partnership, and that me working with it can help to unlock its potential. And maybe it's my fault for not working with this crystal more up to this point, because I don't have any direct experiences with it that could support or contradict this. Even though I was expecting something different, honestly, I got it and have pretty much just had it sitting on my altar to lend its energies there. But I haven't sat with it or carried it around as my little buddy, as I'll do with so many other crystals. It was just kind of sitting out, more significant than being a decoration, but not too much more than that. And so I feel like I've almost hindered it maybe from tapping into what it can do, but surely it has memory of much, much more. I feel like there's something so much wiser to it than a page, but maybe it just also has like the innocence and almost like humility of that younger energy. And I don't know, it's kind of exciting, actually. It makes it feel a little less intimidating, and maybe that's a reason why I didn't reach for it before. And I don't know, maybe I thought it was going to be a bit too much of a master and I didn't really know what I would find with it. But I almost feel like we're going to go on a learning journey together and help each other through it. That makes any sense. But generally, what it can help me with, and this is sweet, this lends itself to that idea of like, we're in this together. So this could be the camaraderie of me and this crystal itself, and then just also that loving, rejoicing heart energy that a Scarlet Temple can bring. Just a sense of ritual as these skulls toast their libations with one another, of connection in this world or connecting with the heart and the mind, perhaps, to those kindred spirits on the other side, as well as in this life. So that's kind of nice to think of it that way, if it helps me find those who I really mesh with on a soul level here, but as well as in my meditations. I think it's going to help give me a sense of like not being alone in this. And then advice for now, Two of Swords. So bringing in that sense of, mental clarity, seeking that. In a very intuitive way, though, we've got that blindfold that's blocking out the outside distractions, influences, allowing me to go within in making the decisions that I need to. So I suppose if I am feeling some indecision now, if I'm feeling a bit at a crossroads, which I actually am in certain ways, that's how this is going to help me right now. Just really going within. And again, I'm so happy that there is that groundedness with the root chakra, because I think that's important for this kind of work. But drawing from the heart, aligning up through the crown, that's where I can get, gosh, if not a laser focus, at least a bit more clarity for which way to go. But just trusting my inner intuition with that. And perhaps aiding in the discernment of who these folks are in my connections here and on the other side. Not that I'm doing immense spirit communication when I speak of the other side, but I have been doing some ancestral work, certainly looking to not just loved ones and ancestors, but my guides for the clarity that I'm seeking at the moment. And, this tells me to trust myself a bit, but I think that's the essential step of getting clear within my own self before entering more so this sense of communion. So, okay, little page, we'll find our way together on this then. Interesting. So as I said, I was and am going to pull also from the Ocean Oracle. I can zoom out a little for this. I don't know. Usually when there's more than one flyer, I don't go for it. I don't see it as the answer I'm seeking, but I don't know. This is interesting, this combination here of the calling and the whispers of time. I guess because I'm seeing in this calling card the essence of what I was feeling when I was talking about this. That connection with those on the other side. And rooted in something ancient, this ancient wisdom of these Lemurian stones. And then that's coupled with whispers of time. Something just so ethereal about her artwork here. But let's learn more from the guidebook, shall we? Benevolent guides, support, soul connection, star family. I can call in support whenever I need help. I am protected. I am held. A joining of great water goddesses and benevolent guides emerge through an oceanic veil. Here they reach out to support those who hear their whispers and calls. Courageous dreamer, you are blessed with your own group of guides that stay with you throughout each lifetime. These may be your own ancestral supports, departed loved ones, angelic messengers, elemental spirits, ascended masters, animal familiars, or celestial visitors. Truly, there are many names and roles for how we may each define our own nurturing beings. The calling represents the unbridled love from our guides and how we choose to expand more fully into their luminous messages. Let the signs that seek out your attention shine through. Open your heart and hear the call of your own sweet guides. You may call on them whenever you need, and they are always with you. Oh, that is so nice. And I feel like that very much beautifully reinforces what I was getting from the Three of Cups. And I do trust those guides too for like leading me into the path of the people incarnated here who, will also be a real soul family on Earth. So that's really nice. And then whispers of time, just to add like another layer, duality, parallel timelines, walking the path of your heart. And being such a watery deck, I mean, I think a lot's going to lead to the heart, but that is really beautiful, especially speaking in terms of Scarlet Lemurian. I am always able to shift my trajectory. I trust that I am being guided with love and grace. Life tends to flow in state of equilibrium. Duality shows us, okay, duality. Why didn't I see that before? With the doubles here and this, it's almost like this card fell for this and this fell for this, right? Duality shows us that every aspect of existence is defined through a balance of opposite forces which allow definition to take place. And that's the clarity that I was talking about. Without the dark void of outer space, we would not see the stars. Without hitting our lowest points, we may never grasp our greatest potential or what we truly value as sacred. Many of these unseen forces are not just opposites, they are complementary and intrinsically linked, sharing infinite gateways of endless possibilities. As with opposite forces, time also moves in a state of contrasting fates and futures. We may seem to be moving along one fixed or linear path when something jolts us out of place and we suddenly find ourselves in a new reality. It is the ultimate paradigm shift. What have I learned through the deep contrasts in my life? You're being invited to alchemize your thoughts into beautiful gems, to hold them with a steady vision of how you would like to see your future unfold after all you have gleaned and learned. Visualize the outcome. Feel it with every ounce of your being. Once you are able to clearly see the destination, don't be surprised if your steps gently lead you towards it. Synchronicities may fill in the blanks along the way, and you will be able to identify these markers and signs as the unfolding of the journey you were always meant for. It's really interesting, and I feel like speaks to where it's saying like you're on one path and then suddenly there's a shift and you find yourself somewhere else. That sense of, crossroads that I spoke to, it's, kind of a pivotal point I feel like I'm at now where I've kind of come to the end of one road and I'm looking for the next one to take. So I really do think that that's why 2 cards came out, because this is like the general one. This is generally how this crystal can help me. But then this was for right now, what's going on with me in this moment of time, and this seems to be the message that like it's trying to impart to me already, and it's something that it can help me with. So it's interesting to me because rather than seeing this crystal as being the master that's going to guide me, it's almost like it's just going to sit with me and just be that conduit to the guides that I need at any given time. And in doing so, that's what's going to help me to go within, get clear, and kind of know that next path to take. What is it that I visualize for myself? Getting a clearer sense of what is that path that I see myself walking down. So, well, that was really lovely. It gives me such a different impression of this crystal as far as this card goes, but I feel like this doesn't surprise me. And I'm so happy that I brought in this oracle because I feel like it just really elevates that message, taking it from not just the earthly realm, but beyond as the means of guiding my steps here. So anyways, conversation that can certainly and we'll likely go further in time. But for now, I just wanted this initial meet and greet. I've already expanded on it a bit with this, but I would like to sit with this now and sit with this crystal and really feel how it can offer this support to me. So that was my crystal convo with the Scarlet Temple Lemurian. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like I mentioned earlier, if there was another one of these crystals, or even from my previous video, that you were interested in me interviewing with the cards, just let me know and I'll try to get to that sometime. I want to get to intimately know each one of these crystals. It's just like with decks. You can spend years like accumulating them, but then there's that time where you just really need to pause and really get to know the ones you've got. And that's what this exercise is. So if you are interested in crystals, and this is an activity that could help you with your bonding process, I'm really happy to hear that. And if you would like to share your crystal knowledge with me, something more that you know about the Lemurians, your experience working with them, if you have a request for the next crystal grouping that I do, I guess it kind of depends on what is in my collection, but it doesn't hurt to just mention, hey, if you got them, could you do crystal convos next time with this crystal? Yeah, just let me know. Really, any of your thoughts on this topic, I would appreciate it. And I appreciate you for being here. You're all part of my tribe here for sure. So until next time, darlings, bye-bye.